Welcome, welcome, welcome to this episode of the Heck Yeah Projector Business Podcast, where we are talking about things with people who are utterly in love with their business. And not just people, but projectors. And so we want to know everything about how they do this, right? Because this is the point. How do we build a heck yeah business as a projector with all the perceived limitations that we might have, which we actually don't? So today we have the amazing Kayse Gehret, who is a 3-5 mental projector with Ajna and Throat defined through the freak to genius. And she does super fun, incredible work in the world. And she's been an entrepreneur for probably around 30 years, you just said. And I would love for you to give us a couple of paragraphs, if it was written, of what you do in the world and how you enchant people through your work.
Thank you so much, Alex. Yeah, I've been in the healing arts and the wellness space for coming up on almost 30 years now. So I have had my own business basically since I was 20-ish years old. And I have had a variety of, I've had a private practice, I've had studios, I've written books, I've created product lines. So I'm very diverse and eclectic. I had 4 healing arts studios in Marin and Sonoma County, California, heading into 2020. Incredible team, incredible clients, and the pandemic brought that all to a halt. And I pivoted during the pandemic to bring healing in a way that we could. You know, our bread and butter was touching people and group classes. And so we were the first to close and the last to reopen. And so I thought, well, what can I do that I love that's been meaningful in my own life and I can do virtually? And so I put together a couple pilot groups of microdosing mushrooms in 2020. And that was where it started. And the groups were amazing from the start. And fast forward now, almost 4 years later, I've supported about 800 people through our microdosing programs virtually. We just opened up international this year in 2024 for the first time. And we do 6-month immersion programs as well as ongoing evergreen programs. And it's been such a journey and unexpected. But today it has been the most fulfilling, most fun, most favorite work that I have done in my life. So very happy to be here and share.
Thank you. And thanks, pandemic, for, I guess, I'm still dealing with the last end of this cold, but thanks the pandemic for scooching so many people into their right seat, right? Into the seat of what really matters. And now I feel like it's happening again over this last winter. So many more people got torn down from whatever wasn't fitting, my business included. And like, hold on, let's break everything down and put you into the thing where you're really meant to be, right? So may I ask you a couple more questions about this work that you do? Because I'm also a huge microdosing fan and a proponent of entheogens and the beautiful work that we can do with these plants and mushroom friends. Mushrooms aren't technically plants, right? But in your 6-month immersions, like what do you see people go through and how do they come to you, and then what do they shift, and then after those 6 months, like just for people who are not so familiar with like the power of microdosing and these medicines, can you share a little bit of these secrets?
Yeah, it's my favorite thing to do. Yeah, it's remarkable. So we have the minimum, our immersion markets are 6 weeks, which most people would go, what can really happen in 6 weeks? But it's incredible what
It's
can happen
six
in
months
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Mhm. No, it's great. And we really see, I really see like when people are new, plan for this to be a lifetime relationship, right? And the 6 weeks is just opening the door. That said, I love to work with people when they're opening the door. So
Yeah.
it's like your first impression, your first meeting with the medicine is so important, and it sets the foundation for the rest of your life with the medicine practice. So I love working with beginners, and really it's so diverse, the reasons people come. Mental health for sure. When we first started, it was during the pandemic. So a lot of people came because of mental health reasons, but people also come for nature connection, spiritual discovery, emotional regulation, improving relationships, physical healing, lots and lots of PMDD and women's health issues, PMDD and PMS, women's health issues, and other nervous system conditions too are really popular reasons for people to. Long tail COVID too has been really popular. I see that on our applications a lot. People with long tail COVID symptoms, brain fog, things like that. So it's really, really diverse across the spectrum. And the beauty is like, regardless of what people come to the medicine for, over time, you receive so many gifts and benefits that you weren't even expecting. Right?
Wow. Yes. Sometimes what you think is the problem is not actually the problem, right? So
Truth.
thanks for sharing this. When on this whole long entrepreneurship journey that you've been on, did you find out that you're a projector?
I love this question. For me, it was like rocked my world. So it was not long ago. It was probably 2.5 years ago. One of the lovely women who was in one of my microdosing immersions said to me, Kayse, are you a projector? I think you're a projector. And I said, I have no idea what that is. And it turns out she is a projector, and just, I guess, recognized it. And I was. And so I just, since then, I've been fascinated. And the more I learn, the more I continue to learn, it's just so expanding and so affirming to why so many things didn't work, so affirming to understand myself as a child, my childhood experience so much more. And it's helped me support me personally, but in terms of my profession and how I lead and run my business now, it has been completely different than I have always led my businesses in the past. It's been fundamentally different.
So what did you shift? Like, was that just after the pandemic when you found out? When
Mhm.
you started
Yep.
going into this business that you love the most, ironically?
I don't think it was a coincidence. I always think it was the universe sent me someone to share this with me and open me up to this, and so that I could shift things and build things in a very, very different way. So I mean, the way that this has evolved has been very true to my 3-5 line. It's been very experimental. I very much not planned too far ahead. Like, I create one program and then evolve it, refine it, remodel it, and let people's experience define the next thing. So it's this evolution versus an efforting. It's just allowing things to evolve in the way that they're naturally unfolding. Um, Really, really being discerning with my energy, which I was not at all in my previous businesses. We had a team of over 80 people. We had 22,000 customers, and I think I could carry all of that. you know and in my studio life. And I did, around the pandemic, when my business was collapsing, so was my physical health was collapsing. And that was due to trying to live as a sacral being for many, many, many years. So it gave me, as you just said, the pandemic really gave me the opportunity to recreate not only my entire business, but also recreate my entire way I ran my business from the start.
So good. So what were a couple of things that you remember distinctly saying, I'm not going to do it like this anymore, but I'm going to do it like that?
Oh gosh. Yeah. So many things. I really have found And this is a lesson I have to keep continuously reminding myself, is to not reward myself for the doing.
Mm,
Right? Really, really tough one for me because we're so conditioned, and I was certainly conditioned to that as a child. The more I did, the more I achieved, the more, that's what it was all about. And now I realize the more that I lean back, the more that I trust, and I take really, really um, all of my decisions made from a correct aligned place are 1,000 times more powerful
mm,
than they are from a place of doing.
mm.
And it's when I have to constantly re-entrain myself to over and over again, but it always comes with rewards. So sourcing in that projector energy versus in that efforting energy.
Mm. Not reward yourself for the doing. What do you reward yourself for instead?
The seeing.
The seeing. And how do you apply that to your sales process, if I may ask? Because selling is always like such a delicate subject for projectors, right? Because we're like, oh, we can't be pushy, but we want to include our gifts of seeing into our selling process, right? So how do you do that?
I think for me is I'm hope motivation. And I've been told that like my passion and enthusiasm really comes through in my content and my expression, and it's very real. Very real. I am. It's been mushroom medicine has been the most remarkable healing thing in my own personal life of all the things that I have ever studied. And that's a lot of things. It's been personally remarkable for me, and witnessing hundreds of other people achieve healing that they have no idea was even possible for them. The more I share that, it feels very effortless to me because I am very excited and passionate about it. So I think allowing that to be very visible. For a long time, I used to tamp down and hide a little bit of my personal experience until I had lovely colleagues say to me, "Why are you doing that? Like, why? It's profound and remarkable. Like, why would you not use this to sell this experience?" And which was very, very valuable to hear that from people. And I think I was doing that in part because it was so remarkable. I didn't want to set exceedingly high expectations when 4 years ago, I wasn't sure if other people would have that level of healing that I had. Lo and behold, they do. I had nothing to worry about. But I think fully stepping into that and embracing that and trusting that was a big piece forward. So yeah, I think it's very easy for me to sell when it's just such an effortless part of who I am.
Perfect. I love that. Because when we are our work, and this is always the thing, like, where do we separate, like, this is me and that's my work. I'm selling my work. I'm not selling myself, but I kind of am, and I kind of also am my work, but I don't want to make my worth connected to if somebody buys or not, because it has nothing to do with me. But my work is me, and if I sell my work, I'm also selling me. And if this is all a natural extension of me, then of course I want to be and do that every day because I'm behind it. But also, like, where's the separation? Is there any separation? And in what areas of thinking do I need a separation, right? So it's just such a fascinating. Selling is just for me one of my highest spiritual practices ever. And it's so beautiful. I'm always learning more about it. So I'm always curious to hear other people's processes around this too, right? And I love that you're feeling so one with it.
Yeah, to me, selling is just sharing. I don't even like when I hear the word selling, I'm like, oh, that's what we're doing. I guess that's is what we're doing because it
Yeah.
is to me, it's just sharing, and it is very, very effortless because I can share about this practice endlessly. It comes very naturally. So yeah, absolutely. I think the rub comes when people, when I think about how I used to run and I used to be my, pretend generator self, people separate work. Like I work this time and then I'm not working versus flowing through your life. And more of a projector way of doing things is more being in flow. And it's, to me, it's really, really important to be visible because it's not trying to get as many people as possible. For me, it's getting the best aligned, most perfectly resonant people to me. And the more visible we are, the more we're sharing and selling, if you will, the more aligned people can really be magnetized by that. And then it just becomes effortless, right?
Yeah. It's so funny when I first saw you presenting your work on your stories, on your social media, and you as a person, it just, for me, is like, look at me, like I haven't even brushed my hair today. Like I have a coffee stain already on my white sweater. Like there's always some kind of mess going on. I do like things mostly tidy, right? But when I look at you, it's like, oh my God, she looks so KPMG. She's got like a fitted dress and like her hair is perfect. And look at your background and mine. Like this woman is involved in like microdosing. She looks like she should be on LinkedIn or like
I am on LinkedIn a
I know
lot.
you are.
Yeah.
You're actually on LinkedIn and I'm not. But that's because of hair plastic. But it's
Well,
just
first of all, one of us has a baby. Let's just say that.
it takes away time from brushing hair for sure.
One of us has a baby. Yes, baby. One of us is a puppy. Yeah, easier. Um Thank you. Yeah, I really credit living my alignment has really, really shifted in terms of my presence and my grounding. That said, if I had a baby in the picture, that would probably be a different story. Um, but it's really brought all of my energy into one place, if that makes sense. That's kind of
No, it does.
inarticulate, but um yeah. And I'm able to take that with me in various scenarios. And I give part of the credit to mushrooms, and part of the credit is living as an aligned projector. Especially in the last 6 months, I've spent probably more time ever alone in solitude than I have just in my own energy. And that has been unbelievable for me to get really clear and clean in my own energetic signature as a projector. And so I think that's part of the energy I think that you're feeling.
Yeah, I love it. It's just I was always just like, oh my God, she looks so professional and she does this work that society is still not getting itself quite behind. It's like almost like a person who has a PhD and starts talking about spiritually healing their psoriasis or something like that, right? But what I really, first of all, I'm not letting this go unnoticed. You're leaving us on a giant cliffhanger, which I'm not allowing, about your own healing. And secondly, I would also really love to know, and maybe this is one story and totally connected, how have you been using these mushroom practices to get you more into your projector alignment? Because just a little preface, in one of, well, not in one. So I love the mushrooms as well, right? They're very, very gentle, friendly creatures, right? And very supportive of the spiritual work and alignment. My medicine of choice for the last 8 years has been the grandmother medicine. And so I've been with her way more than, like, for a longer time than I've known about being a projector. And so in every one of the rituals and retreats that I've been in with the medicine, all the advice I got from the grandmother, which is basically my higher self, was always completely my projector chart, right? And at the time, it made so much, you know how these journeys are, right? Everything makes total sense. You're like, holy cow, we won. This is all great. Nothing else. I'm never ever gonna do something else again. 2, 3 days later, you're still like, yeah, totally makes sense. Let's do this. 4, 5, 6 days later, you're starting to doubt, like, is this really true? Like, or is this reality? Oh, I can't. That sounds weird. Just to get paid for who I am? Like, I don't know. How we even do that? Like, that doesn't make sense. No, that was just the thing from that weekend to make me feel good. And now we're back home. My coach said I should do like 5 posts a week minimum and like bust them out every day. Yeah. So, yeah, no, I can't get paid for who I am. But you know, that's how it goes, right? And so I guess what I'm saying is, first of all, these medicines give you access to your chart, even when you never know that you have a chart. And did we freeze? Oh no.
There
Did
you
we?
are.
Oh, you're still there. I think your picture froze. Um, these medicines give us access to our charts, even when we don't know we have a chart yet. I mean, everyone has a chart, but we might not ever have anything to do with it, right? And so, but the beautiful thing about these microdosing practices, they can keep you staying connected to that space if you want to, right? So if you would like to share, I would love to hear, and I think a lot of people would love to hear, what have been your transformations, and how are you using this to be in alignment with yourself and with your highest self? And always that extends to business, but we don't even have to go there. I just want to know, like, for you as a lady, like, how is that?
Mhm.
How does it keep going?
Yeah, it's a beautiful question. And I think it's there's so much in common, the mushroom path and the becoming path of a projector. There's so much in common there because it fundamentally, my experience of mushroom medicine is it's a relational medicine. And so it's your relationship to spirit, but it's fundamentally your relationship to yourself shifts and becomes so solid, so clear. You come to know yourself and your soul and your spirit in a very, very authentic, real way. And so much of it is about deconditioning
Mm.
and deprogramming. And so
Can
it's
you
a very
can you
powerful combination. Mhm.
can you intersect here real quick how you understand deconditioning and deprogramming?
I think it's from all of us, I think right now, regardless of chart and design, are all deeply conditioned. But I think projectors and reflectors more than any other types right now are really having to undo more conditioning than we probably ever have since we came into existence.
Mm.
You know, since the 1980s onward, we have been in this hyper productivity culture since the 80s of go, 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 more, acquire, 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 you know, bigger, louder. And it's so the antithesis of the way we thrive. And so you know, especially when I work with projectors who are in their 60s and 70s, I have so much compassion for them because they have been so conditioned their whole lives for such a long period of time that this is what success looks like. And they're often exhausted, they're often burned out, and moreover, they have been um, our culture in the last 50 years has been increasingly harsh. And so I feel like our openness and our sensitivity has led us to become more medicated and more self soothing in ways when we didn't really understand. And I think I've witnessed them. It's so empowering for projectors to go, oh my gosh, my sensitivity is actually a massive gift. And I just needed to switch up my life to accommodate it rather than try to be something that I'm not. So I see the mushrooms as supporting that because it kind of amplifies it sometimes in a very, very dramatic, rapid way. So I think I shared with you, we just finished our winter 6-week immersion, and this was the first time ever Spirit called me to do an exclusively projector group for the first time ever. And I was
Yeah,
like,
how did that
we'll see
go?
how this goes, right? It'll be fun. And so we decided to do it as an 3-5 experiment as usual. It was unbelievable. It was really unbelievable. And I had to do it. We had to move through the process before I really understood why are we doing it and see the results of people. And I see that now. It's just like mushrooms out in the woods, right? They decompose and they remediate and they peel away the layers. And so I got to see that real time, over the 6 weeks with people as like peel back all this conditioning, all of these layers um, simultaneously. So I hope that answers your question.
Wow, I love that visual that you gave. And there's so many mushrooms. I mean, if people are curious about mushrooms, and go watch a lot of Paul Stamets videos on YouTube, I guess, right? But the man's the man. Even got his little mushroom hat. I saw a talk of him in San Francisco once. It was magical.
He is phenomenal. Yes.
Um, but mushrooms can do so much, right? Like they can clean up oil spills. Like, oh my God, that man knows which mushroom to use where, and like, oh, he's basically a spokesperson, right? I feel like the more mushrooms you ingest, the more you become a spokesperson. But the good thing is that those creatures, and I see them as little creatures, right? They have like an intelligence to them, and like an energy and an intention. And it is to bring more spirit forth, right? It's not like, oh, did anyone have a bad trip? And is this the work of the devil? It's more like, no, their mission, mushrooms' mission, like whether it's psychedelic or medicinal or oil cleanup spill mushrooms, right? They all are on a mission to clean up the earth and clean up humans. It's just they're on a cleanup mission. Like, let's have more spirit come through, and make more space for more spirit. And I love that so much about these little creatures.
Mhm. Absolutely. And it brings us, I was reflecting during our projector group how quickly people can move through the process. And I think it's the same openness that makes us more sensitive to being out of balance. Our openness when we meet the mushroom, the mushrooms just take to us very readily because of that openness. And so it brings you into an energetic resonance
Mhm.
that is feels really, really good for us when we are so open.
So I gifted someone some microdosing capsules for, was it Christmas? What was the last holiday? Yeah, Christmas, I guess. And it's a beautiful friend of mine. She makes them, and they're combined with some medicinal mushrooms because it seems to enhance and like not the experience, because I just want to talk with you, for everyone here, like who's not aware of like microdosing. Like, you're not actually going on a trip, right? You don't have to take a day off and do a big integration, right? So I kept asking him, so have you tried it? Have you tried it? Have you tried it? He's like, he kept thinking like he has to halt his life. And I texted him one morning. I said, today's the day you get to do it. It's like, fine. And he was, I think, thinking that he will like notice a whole lot or won't be able to work. But the key about this whole microdosing thing is that you integrate it, you do it while you do life, right? And then you observe how you feel when you do life differently, right? And for me, I don't know, because you're working with a lot more beginners, so I'd be curious to hear about that too. But for me, with microdosing, it's more about like, how can we open this heart up more and see. And it's such a beautiful projector medicine because it helps you see so differently, right? When I am microdosing and I look, like there's no like real big effect, but I do notice it. Like I look outside and I can look at the tips of trees far away and I see every leaf, right? So the seeing, but it's not just like visual seeing, it expands to like how open the mind is to, oh my God, that's what's going on. So you understand, so you're creating new brain pathways, right? But for me, what's most importantly, it's always I get to live my life from a slightly happier place. And for anyone who's in the healing or in the manifestation or coaching world or personal development, it's like one of the ground rules, right? When you make decisions from a more expansive, happier, open-hearted space, you create more of that, right? You create more of the things that you do with the energy you do them with, not just like, oh, I hustle more, I make more money. It's more like, do I hustle with scarcity mindset? Then I create more scarcity, right? Do I hustle with abundance mindset? I create more abundance, right? So I'm curious to see, like for everyone out there though, like who hasn't worked with microdosing of any of the medicines, like what is something that they need to know?
Big miss, totally, yeah. Well, I think that a few years ago, barely anybody had heard of this, and now it's all over the place, right? And so with that comes some big misconceptions and I think misrepresentation of what it's actually like. So the biggest one right now, I think, is thinking that it's an apples to apples substitute for antidepressants or
Mm,
that it's an automatic happy pill. And so people come and they just think they're going to start microdosing, everything's going to be great. That's actually not how it works. It's actually, you will feel more. You will feel more expansiveness. You will feel more emotion. You will feel a greater spectrum of your humanity. And
mm,
it's beautiful. You just have a more of a capacity to hold all of it. So, yes, you're going to feel wonder and joy and laugh more, but you're also going to feel more empathy and compassion and the sadness of the world too sometimes. So it's, yes, I think that's a big thing to understand, that
basically
it's big honesty. Mhm.
makes you feel more alive, basically.
More life. Yes. You come back. A lot of people describe it, they remember themselves, they say, or they come alive
Mm,
again. Um, which is so beautiful. I hear that a lot from people, especially the past 3 years, where they're like, "I'm okay, I'm good." But when they're like, I don't I look ahead at the next 10, 20 years, and if you told me I'm gonna feel like this for the rest of my days, that's not good enough anymore." And they're willing now to take steps outside of the box. They're willing to kind of think things think about things, doing things a different way, that I have not seen before. So that's something. And then also too, I work with a lot of people who have a lot of responsibility. So they're like, I have young kids, or I'm running a team at work, or I run a company. Like, I can't be weird. I can't be wacky, like, at all. Um, and
I can't be like Alex was already on
uh,
today.
yes. I can't be like some of the people on TikTok. Um, and it's funny, and I just reassure them that you will, quickly you'll see that not only are you not off or trippy or stoned or weird, you're actually a better version of yourself. Like, you are so much better in every way. Your reflexes are better, your mind is sharper, you are more intuitive, you're more creative, your instincts are on, you can anticipate things happening
Mm,
better, just everything. So again, that's, I think, is a misconception left over from the stigma, but it really is, as Paul Stamets calls it, the Einstein molecule.
wow. Yeah, my parenting always goes next level too. So dialed in. I'm like so there, like so in the moment. So, and this is another beautiful quote that I heard recently, and especially important for projectors. I feel like do it without resentment or don't do it at all, right? And resentment is bitterness. So how many things do we projectors do from bitterness? Like, I'm going to show you, or whatever, or fine, I'll do the dishes, right? And then this this molecule or this medicine actually gives you an access point to be doing things without resentment and just doing them with joy, right? And then you can be in the moment, like you said, and be just a better version of yourself and like access more ease.
Yep. I always share with people in the first 6 weeks of my groups because there's always people that have a really rapid, intense experience. There's other people who are kind of medium, right? They have some emotions and something's coming up. And then there's those people, their process is really slow and it's kind of subterranean in a way. And I always tell them if you're not noticing overt things, look to your life because you'll know that the medicine and the mushrooms are quote unquote working when you start to notice less friction in your
Mm,
life. You don't have the friction and the bad timing and the things coming out of left field anymore. Like all of a sudden, you're just like in flow and things just happen. And even things that come out of the blue that you would have perceived as negative, you don't anymore. You're just able to flow in life. Yeah.
and this is, dear viewers, how you sell as a projector. Is
Well,
notice I'm just noticing myself like, oh, even though I'm already doing this, I would love to be in one of your immersions. Oh, where can I find these? And it's all just from the space of sacred enthusiasm and alignment with your work and embodiment and walking the talk and like you being a spokesperson for your work, right? So there don't need to be any weird sales pitches or manipulation tactics or anything, right? When we sell from that space of being so in love with our business. And I love that you are such a beautiful embodiment of that, and that you're coming on here today and sharing so generously of your time and your energy and your work and experience and all the things you know about all the loving things you do. And yeah, it's just such a joy to witness you doing your work.
likewise, I feel very similarly toward you. I follow you and I so appreciate all the work you do powerfully toward empowering
Mm,
projectors and having them step into their power and their confidence. I
mm,
think that's so important. I work too with a lot of projectors in I'm attracted to and resonance with. I love working with other projectors. Many of them come to mushroom practice and I think the biggest thing standing in their way is all of the conditioning of not being seen, not being heard, not being witnessed. And so I love that your work is all about that because that is the game changing thing for so many projectors is just to be seen as deeply as they see others. And then everything shifts after that.
thank you. There's such a beautiful reflection. And we could probably make another whole podcast episode on empowerment marketing versus pain point marketing, but we might have to leave that for another time. Do you have anything else you'd like to share to close this beautiful chat that we had?
Oh, thank you. No, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for everybody who is listening today. If you have any questions about mushroom practice, I obviously love talking about it and answering questions. So I am on all the social, including LinkedIn. LinkedIn. You can find me on all the places. And yeah, just grateful. Yeah, grateful to you, Alex, for the work you're doing.
Thank you. Likewise. And I will put your Instagram into the description so people can find you easily and go to the mycelium from there and see where else they want to find you. And thank you for being here. Thank you for shining your light into the world. And happy living in Florida. I miss you over here.
Thank you so much.
I'll see you on the internet, and thank you for watching. And please write Kayse if you have any curiosities and questions about this, because this will shift your life. See you on the next one. I always want to hit the end button, but we're going to just stop recording.